Are you looking for a wizard build? Well, you came to the right place. What's up guys, GH here. Today we're going to do another number 1 build, a wizard build consisting of Taoist, Elementalist, and Pyromancer. This is the current number 1 most popular wizard build as of May 2020. And as always, we're gonna show the classes, the skills, and tell you guys the reason why each of these classes are here in this build, then the good and the bad, and some closing remarks to finish up the video. And with that said, here is the number 1 wizard build. Let's do this. Here it is. We got the Taoist, the Pyro, and the Elementalist. We're checking out Elementalist first. In the realm of the Wizard Class 3, Elementalist is one of the top class to pick if you want to get more damage, because Elementalist has an array of different elemental skills that can exploit different varieties of enemies, and it also has spells and attributes that can further increase a certain element's damage, and that's the reason it's here, to get more damage output for the build, and it's also the main class of this build. Now let's check out the spells. First off is Elemental Essence, and what it does is give you a buff that increases elemental property attack damage when attacking an enemy's weakness. It's pretty straightforward, just use this when you see a boss. Next spell is Meteor. This is the signature offensive attack of Elementalist. It deals an insane amount of damage and can also hit multiple times if the target is receiving damage from Flame Ground, which is a Pyromancer skill. We're gonna look at that in a bit. And there's an art for this that create 3 fireballs around you that you can use to deal damage. Get this ASAP, it's gonna help add more damage. Third spell is Storm Dust. It's an earth element area attack that deals damage for about 5 seconds. The next spell is Hail. This is a rain of icicles that deals a certain amount of damage depending on the enemy's size. The last spell we're gonna look at in the Elementalist spellbook is Electrocute. This is a chain lightning attack that can hit more targets if Storm Calling is within range. Storm Calling is a Taoist spell, we're gonna touch on that on a bit. And that's Elementalist, a surefire way to get increased damage output. Now let's check out Pyromancer, a surefire way to get offensive fire elemental spells. Now Pyromancer, with its never-ending changes to what it can do, right now it's a class that can rain fire on multiple enemies, and this is how it should be. A wizard should specialize in defeating hordes of enemies. But the reason it's here is because Elementalist and Pyro works together. Elementalist can boost fire elemental spells to get more out of Pyromancer's damage output, and vice versa. Now let's look at the spells. First we have is Prominence. It's a fire elemental attack that roams around the selected location, and when it comes in contact with an enemy, it deals damage. There's an art for this that changes how it works, and instead of summoning a fire attack that roams, it will now rotate around the caster for 30 seconds, which is better in my opinion. The next spell is called Fire Pillar. This summons a fire pillar that deals damage, and when Storm Dust is used on top of it, it will deal more damage. So use Storm Dust after Fire Pillar. The next spell is Flame Ground. It's a huge fire elemental area attack that deals damage on enemies stepping on it. And when you cast Meteor on a target stepping on Flame Ground, Meteor will deal extra hits, resulting in more damage. Another spell is Enchant Fire. Get at least level 1 because this can reduce enemies' fire resistance when used near an enemy. Now for the last spell we're gonna look at in Pyromancer is Fire Wall. This conjures walls of flames that knocks back enemies and deals damage. There's an art for this that doubles the number of hits and changes the shape to a cross pattern. And that's Pyromancer, a very attack-oriented class which is definitely a worthwhile addition to any build. And now for the last class, Taoist. This is previously the best class in the Wizard Class 3, but now they kinda rebalanced it in a way that it doesn't even come close to what it previously could do. Regardless, what it is right now is a decent version. It's now a class that prioritizes lightning attacks and improving them, and it also debuffs enemies, which results in more damage with the use of its spells. First off is try Disaster Charm. This is one of the reasons you're taking Taoist. It basically increases the damage taken of enemies from fire, ice, and lightning. The next spell is Lightning Charm. It's a buff that gives every magic attack a chance to deal additional lightning damage. Always keep this up. The next spell we're gonna look at in the Taoist spellbook is Storm Calling. This is an area attack that deals damage and increases lightning attack damage. And using Electrocute while Storm Calling is active doubles the amount of targets Electrocute can hit. So Storm Calling first, then Electrocute. The last spell we're gonna look at is Creeping Death Charm. We're gonna look at this for the sake of science, because this was the reason Taoist is OP in the past. But now, look at this. That is it. It still deal a halfway decent damage, but not close to what it did in the past. And that's Taoist, a class chosen for its ability to increase elemental damage. And now let's do the good and the bad. Let's start with the bad. Now, this is a number 1 build for a reason. It doesn't have that much negative to go along with it. The only bad thing that I could think of here is the damage output of this build against bosses is not that great compared to the other classes. Lastly, I guess, is no spells or skills that gives you immunity to all kinds of damage. Iframes. Now let's do the good stuff. First is, this build is really good in dealing with mobs. This is exceptional in eliminating hordes of enemies, therefore, this build is good for challenge modes as such, and other contents that throws a lot of enemies at you. All in all, this build is very viable for endgame content. This could be the best of what the Wizard Class 3 could offer for now, in terms of overall class capability, and if you're looking for a Wizard build, this is a good one. And that's it guys, what do you think? Is this build good enough or not? Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you like the video, hit the thumbs up, share, and then subscribe to be part of the Gaming Hardcore family. And as always, this is Gaming Hardcore. See you in the next one.